In Pima County, longtime prosecutor Rick Unklesbay argued cases that resulted in 16 death sentences. In his new book, Arbitrary Death, he revisits 9 cases where his office sought the death penalty. Unklesbay also delves into why he no longer supports capital punishment. We discuss those reasons.
So I read the book, and I think it's fair to say you had a change of heart when you talk about capital punishment as you started as a prosecutor to now. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I don't consider myself an abolitionist. I mean, as a prosecutor, what we do is we try to enforce the laws that people have passed through their legislators. And right now, and for the past several decades, Arizona has had the death penalty. And so our job as prosecutors is to enforce the law that folks want on the books. But having worked in the system I've been a prosecutor for 38 years or so, and having worked in the system for that long and seen how these cases proceed, it strikes me that if people really knew what the system was about, they would say, we don't need this. We have an alternative of natural life, and isn't that sufficient? And part of it was just having seen what victims go through. I've had cases that have come back where I wasn't the original prosecutor, but 30 years later, they are back in court for a retrial because some court during their review has decided that, for example, the defendant didn't get effective assistance of counsel. And the toll on the victims is enormous when they think things are done, the case is over, only to find out decades later that we've got to retry the case.
Paint a picture for me. How long can a case take? I mean, because this is not something that can just happen the moment after the crime is committed and the person's found guilty.
Well, I think right now the average time from sentencing and someone who gets the death penalty until execution is almost 20 years. And that's the average time. There are many cases, several from Pima County, whose cases have been on appeal for over 30 years. So it is a very long process.
Why does it take so long?
There are a lot of reasons for that, but there are multiple steps in the appeals process. They start with an appeal to the Arizona Supreme Court. It stays in state court for a number of years before it gets into federal court. And then there are multiple steps there. So, for example, Arizona is in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals District. And that's in San Francisco, and so cases can linger there or languish there for years and years before the Ninth Circuit makes a decision.
Unklesbay estimates fees for court-appointed attorneys assigned to help death row inmates through the lengthy appeals process can add up to several $1 million.
At the very low end, at a minimum of $1 million, but that's really the very low end. It's more likely that it is $3, $4, $5 million over the course of the appeal.
You mentioned a number of cases that you covered during your career, all of them heinous, but not everybody will end up on death row. So what are some of the factors that play into that?
Well, statutorily, we have a number of what are called aggravating factors. And the prosecution, in addition to proving the first-degree murder, the prosecution has to prove at least one aggravating factor to make it a death penalty case. So we have a panel that meets in the county attorney's office whenever a case might be considered as a capital one, a death penalty case. And we discuss it. We discuss the mitigating factors, what's going on in the person's life that might steer us not to seek the death penalty, and then look at the aggravating factors and what might support filing a capital notice in the case.
The person's past, though, their criminal history, their mental status, all those things play into this.
Sure. Prior mental health history is a big issue for us. If someone has a history of mental illness, it's something that we want to take into consideration now, because that may steer us towards not filing a capital notice. Someone's criminal history, if they've got a violent past, those are considerations that we would consider also.
Who belongs on death row? Because anybody who commits a crime, a murder, there are people who feel one way or another on that.
Yeah, and we invite input from law enforcement that has investigated the case. We invite input from the victim's family about how they feel about it. But ultimately, it's the prosecutor's decision, and it has to be, and it's based on our past experience of where this case fits in the long string of cases that we've considered. And we look at the legal guidelines that not only our Supreme Court but the U.S. Supreme Court has set forth, guiding us which kinds of cases or what specific cases might be subjected to the death penalty.